Let's start with this question today. I'm living in HDB. If I buy a second property, let's say a condo, can I live in that condo and rent out my HDB? So this is actually the reply from Property Guru. Yes, you can. You can actually choose to stay in both properties if you have the financial means. However, why not consider renting out your HDB and live in your condominium? Of course, to be able to rent out a full HDB, you have to fulfill certain guidelines such as the MOP, as well as non-citizen quota for renting out your flat. I've also seen a subsequent article that's very recent. I spent the weekend at a service residence and questioned why I didn't rent one after selling my BTO. This is a sponsored post, and this article is actually from Mothership. It shows all the nice things such as living at Clarke Quay area, which is awesome, and you also have gym facilities within a service apartment. That is why we have this video today. Is it possible to rent out your HDB for say $2,500 and rent a condo with the same amount? I posted this question on a previous video that I've done before and the response was overwhelming. Let's do a video, and if you're intrigued by this topic, continue watching on. Hi guys, welcome back. Let's start with why I'm doing this topic together with you. There are a few reasons. The first is because at retirement I realized some are asset rich and cash poor. It's like having a lot of monies but having it locked inside the place of residence, your home. So many have a home $1 million, but when it comes to investment portfolio, only 100,000. And as we know, home is home. It cannot be consumed for cash flow. The second reason why I'm doing this video with you today is really to foster critical thinking, something that I've always preached on this channel. Be it investments, be it your way of living, critical thinking really helps you challenge the norms. And as we know, housing affects your retirement cash flow. If we can learn something from today's discussion, we can push the boundaries together and discover more ways you can actually plan out your cash flow for your retirement. So the topic today is, can you rent out your HDB at $2,500 and rent a condo at $2,500 also? And that allows you to stay in a condo without overstretching your budgets, correct? The usual question might be, hey, if I rent $2,500, then who's going to pay for my mortgage? But you also have to remember, if you stay in your current place now, you still have to pay mortgage anyway. So the discussion is not really how to cover the mortgage. This discussion is to get cash flow in and live in somewhere different with no extra costs. And with that clarified, I'll run through some examples showing you actual numbers. And I'm using CBD and town area because this is the place I'm most familiar with. The first condo that I can show you within that budget is Spottiswoode Suites. This is a 1-bedroom unit, $2,900 per month. Of course, you might need to negotiate a bit to get it closer to that $2,500. Or you have to up your rent that you're asking from a tenant. Then you also see Commonwealth Towers, asking price of $3,000 per month. Also a 1-bedroom, 1-toilet unit. Square feet also 441, so it's a pretty small unit. So this whole exercise really doesn't work if you are a big family, you have kids, you need space. Then there are constraints that we cannot address in this concept. But if you are a couple with no kids and you're thinking of living somewhere different, then the numbers really make sense. And we see a further example, Skysuites at Anson, $2,700 a month. Skysuites at Anson is at Tanjong Pagar area, and actually went to search for HDBs that are renting out roughly at that price. And lo and behold, I found something. This is actually Block 8 at Tanjong Pagar Complex. You realize that the rental rate is around $2,500 to $2,800. So matching the cash flows isn't actually impossible, correct? And the asking price for units in Block 8 Tanjong Pagar Plaza is around $635,000. So it really may be possible. You buy the HDB at $635,000 in Tanjong Pagar, and then you rent it out to rent another condo in Tanjong Pagar also using the same cash flow. What you sacrifice is just the space. But later we'll run through the pros and cons so that you make an informed decision. In any case, from what I hear from my friends in the property circle, is that the tenant base for city centre units are kind of dropping simply because a lot of expats have left Singapore because of COVID-19. And if you look at the rent for Sky Suites at Anson, you realize that it's been trending down ever since 2020 first quarter, correct? So I believe the asking price for $2,700 per month for rent can possibly be negotiated lower. And if you're curious to find out how much it costs if you're looking to buy, it costs around $1 million to own that unit. So now that you understand that the cash flows can potentially match, I'll recap again. You do need to fulfill your MOP before you rent out your HDB, and you do need to get HDB's approval before doing so. In any case, if you're unsure, always check with a property agent. So with that clarified, let's run through some pros and cons. We'll start with the cons first. The first that is commonly missed out is when you rent out your unit, it feeds into your personal taxes because rent income is part of your income. So assuming you manage to get 2,800 instead of 2,500 for your rent, what it means is that per year basis, you actually earn 33,600. But IRAS doesn't charge you for the full amount of rent. They understand that there are certain expenses and they are willing to mark down by 15% that amount. So the final figure, if you rent out your unit at 2,800, you add $28,560 to your chargeable income. And depending on where you sit on a tax bracket, that could be pretty expensive to have. The second con is actually increased property taxes. When you are residing in a property itself, it's a home. The property taxes you pay is at a lower percentage. But when you're renting it out, the factor used is actually more expensive. So naturally you'll see your property tax increase. The third con about this idea is you have the hassle of managing a tenant. Now that's assuming firstly you are a good tenant, then you have the right to complain about other people. There are indeed difficult tenants. They dirty the place, they spoil the furniture, etc, etc. And this could ultimately be hidden costs down the years because you do need to replace damaged furniture and property parts. The fourth con is privacy. Now what do I mean by privacy? You know, when you are a landlord, you cannot also go into your tenant's house at any point of time to your liking. That is not correct also. But there can also be agreements between the owner and tenant. For example, if the owner wants to start marketing the property, he is entitled to bring in prospective buyers to view the place. And if you are living there, you do need to give and take and allow viewings. So that is the privacy issue that I'm saying, especially if you are looking to rent the place yourself. So there seems to be so many cons, correct? Then why not just go on full rental, sell the HDB flat and then go on full rental? Something which was discussed in the previous video. Personally, I think that is a scary move because you're out of the property market totally. What if property market starts to surge up 3% or 5% per year? You could really feel that FOMO, and personally I think that is not a good approach. In a world where there's inflation, it's best to have a lot of assets in different asset classes. So that if properties do well, at least you still have the HDB you're keeping, and naturally you should see some appreciation. And having addressed that, let's touch on some of the pros that could be very enticing. The first one, which is very obvious to me, is that the maintenance cost is on your landlord. Now, if you rent a condo unit, you do know that your landlord is paying maintenance charges, $200, $300, $400 per month just to have the security guard, just to have the gym running. This maintenance cost is all on the landlord. When you are a tenant, you are free from this cost. And some older condos, they even have sinking fund costs, which means they are doing major revamp of the place, like the lift needs an upgrade. They have to contribute thousands per month just to chip into a pool to eventually fund that major upgrade. That is a cost that you don't need to entertain also. And if you have a car, for example, you can even still park in a place. You can save on your HDB parking, which probably costs $100. So these are some numbers to consider. On the other hand, if you are a landlord owning a condo and renting it out, you should understand that the cash flow you are getting from the property rent, you still need to offset this maintenance cost, which means your net yield renting out your condo is actually lower. The second pro of renting a condo is you can actually try different places to live in. You can stay 2 years in Jurong if you need to be near Jurong Island. You can then stay 2 years in Changi if you do need to be near the Changi Business Park. So you can really match your convenience for work with your residence. That is something you cannot do when you own a property. The third pro is that you can actually fulfill temporary needs very easily when you rent. Now, for example, the HDB you are staying in, there is a major construction coming up in a neighbor plot. There's a BTO building. It's going to take a few years. You do know there's going to be a lot of noise, correct? So what if you decide to move, you rent out your HDB and you rent a condo? You can actually avoid the whole construction noise. And what about if your neighbor has a newborn right now? You do know that infants are very noisy, correct? So if you're a parent, you kind of understand. The first year, there's so much screaming and crying and midnight waking up. It really disturbs the neighbors, and that's something personally I always feel bad for my neighbors because my boy really wakes up a lot at night. Or what if you want to lose weight, you need a gym and you've been paying for a gym membership. If you move to a condo, you can actually choose one with good gym facilities. You can drop your $150 a month, you're paying to Fitness First, for example. You can also choose a condo to stay in that has the pool to your liking. And what about if you want to be near a parent? Say for example, your parent now has a new health condition and needs you to be near. You can actually rent a place that is next block to save on the logistics needed. So there are so many temporary needs that can be fulfilled if you're willing to entertain a renting idea. Last but not least, the fourth benefit is you can upgrade and downgrade your place of residence without any stamp duties. Now, if you have this HDB you are staying in right now, you want to sell and buy a condo to stay in. When you sell, you're very likely going to engage an agent. That's going to cost you some money. And then when you buy, you at least need to pay stamp duties. And for $1 million property, that will easily cost you $20,000+. And then in future, if you want to downgrade again, you do know that you need to sell and rebuy again and incur stamp duties again. So if you're willing to rent out your HDB and rent a condo, you can actually get past this upgrade and downgrade phase. For the next 10 years, you want to change your place of residence. Renting is so much easier. It saves you the hassle of property trading that ultimately has a lot of hidden costs. So all in all, how have I done in terms of helping you address this interesting topic of renting out your HDB and then renting a condo unit to stay to your liking? If it was a good discussion, smash the like button so that we can reach more people together, because it's also taken our team hours to prepare this for you. And again, click on the subscribe. Whenever there are concepts on property and home, I'll try to share it with you on this channel. And since we're on this topic of property and home, have you seen this previous video I've done before? How I've actually stayed in this condo I'm staying in with just $1,092 per month. That's one of the earliest tutorials I've shared and really has a lot of breakdowns on the numbers financially, especially if you're looking to do an upgrade for yourself. So I've shared those numbers openly. Check that tutorial out. Maybe it can help you plan your finances better. With that, Azana from here and see you there. Take care and goodbye.